Okay, I'd like to extend a very warm FrightFest welcome to the director of the Missionary, Anthony DiBlasi.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you were last here at FrightFest, I think it was 4 years ago, with Clive Barker's Dread.
With Dread, yeah.
What's it like to be back in London for the festival?
Festival at FrightFest is the best one to come to. And it hasn't really been 4 years. I'm like, man, it's like that. When you're making movies, you're like never in one place more than once. So no, I love coming down to FrightFest because it's actually the one place that you really feel it's a community.
Yeah, it's
everyone. You see your fellow filmmakers all the time. You're hanging out with the fans who are very passionate about the films you bring in, and you're. Also, the other films, you're in for really a quality run watching all the other movies as well. So it's actually one of the only festivals I do like to come to and hang out and watch as many films as I can.
So Missionary had its premiere yesterday morning. How's the reaction been from the audience?
It's been great. I was like, oh, good, we got a Sunday morning slot, which totally makes sense for the film. I was like, it's like church. And so we're going, it's the Sunday mass for everyone. And, I was excited to see how many people came that early in the morning to see the film and the reaction. To be honest, I felt I got a much better reaction than Dread on it. Even being more of a dramatic film, I was really pleased with the turnout and the response afterwards.
Good. Now, with this film, you worked again with the writers and producers Scott Boyley and Bruce Wood, who you'd worked with on Cassadaga.
Yeah.
How did this one come about? Was this an idea that you had, or did they approach you about it?
Well, they approached me right after we finished Cassadaga, and it wasn't out yet. They were like, we want to jump into another one kind of right away, which is, for a filmmaker is a blessing. That doesn't happen very often. And I said, well, why don't we do something that is a bit more dramatic? And because Cassadaga was a supernatural thriller, so I wanted to do something that was based in more of a dramatic world and something that was much more of a character piece, a character study. And they came to me with a few ideas, and Missionary to me stood out mainly, one, because Bruce is a Mormon, and I knew that it would be an accurate kind of portrayal of these characters and kind of a look back, a peek beside the curtain into the life of a missionary and the things that go on behind the scenes. So really, that's what it was. I kind of said, why don't we lean towards this one, and we fleshed it out, and they went off and wrote it, and then we started off right away.
And was it important to portray the kind of Mormon faith very factually accurate?
I think so, because if you're, going into it, I didn't know much about the Mormon faith, and I certainly did a lot of research and having, read the script through Bruce's point of view, doing my own research, and then we had two missionaries on production who were just out. One of them was our script supervisor assistant, and he completed a mission recently. And if you're making a film, especially one that goes into dark territories about a religion, it's like if your facts aren't straight, or if you're just kind of, like, oh, let's put someone in a white shirt and a tie and call it a missionary, then people won't take it seriously. So it really is important to not, I don't want to embellish anything or make anything up, because you're kind of kicking your legs out from under you.
Obviously the film's just doing a few festivals at the moment. I mean, has there been any feedback from any missionaries or Mormon people who have seen the film yet, or
well,
too early to say?
It's we haven't really had a lot of commentary on it from the Mormon religion. I mean, I do notice that it pops up on a lot of their websites and boards, so
they're aware of it.
They're aware of it, and we had a couple Mormons when we played Fantasia who kind of stood up at the end and talked during our Q&A, and she didn't really make a reference. She seemed to like the movie, and she appreciated how detailed it was. Because even in the film, there's a lot of details that I wouldn't say I explain. I don't kind of get into it too much, because I don't need to tell the audience like what a greenie means, or like why they're doing this or why, because there's small details that are just, what is P Day? It's just a part of their dialect and part of their life that the audience, I don't think, really needs to know to enjoy the story. But someone who knows what those things are, she was, very complimentary because of that. Like, I was surprised it was so detailed.
Yeah. And Mitch Ryan, I think, is particularly great as Elder Brock. How easy was it to cast that part? We
threw a pretty wide net, so we saw a lot of people for that role. A certain kind of it's an interesting character because on the page you would think like hunky Mormon missionary, and it's a contradiction.
Yeah.
Their religion doesn't, the way they act and the way they are, it's like you don't expect to be like, oh, look at that guy, take off his shirt and I want to have my way with him. So what Mitch brought to it, and he was so passionate about it, is that he created a quirkiness to the character that is I think innocently attractive, and I wouldn't say like a sultry role for a man to play. It's just he's sure an attractive guy, but he's devoted in his beliefs regardless, and he's not preachy about it, which I thought was very important. So, but we had a phone call, and he definitely convinced me he was right for the part on that call.
And did you have a particular favourite scene in the film to shoot?
Oh man, I don't know. There's that confrontation in the junkyard, which brings Jay LaRose.
Yeah,
a good part for him. I really enjoy watching that scene because it's really simple. It's a confrontation between three people that gets suddenly Mitch starts to act in a way that you hadn't quite seen him act before, and I like those very innocent situations, like in Funny Games, which is still probably one of my favorite scenes. Is at the beginning of that film, in the original film. I mean, the remake is like identical, but the original film still for me is the best version. And when that character keeps dropping the eggs, that is one of my favorite scenes in any film. There's something so strong about it. Like, what do you say? Because it's like he just keeps dropping the eggs, and it's like, well, how? It's like, what am I going to say to this guy? I can't punch him because he's not really doing anything wrong. And I like those moments that have that kind of underlying dread underneath it. Yeah. That's like, well, what do we really do here? And I think Jay's excellent at that scene. Yeah.
Now with Missionary, I think this is the first film of yours that you edited as well. Do you enjoy having that creative control over the project?
I do. It was like after Casadega, I said to the guys, I think I'm just going to edit this one, and it's easy for me to switch the hats. Like, I don't, I'm not precious about anything that's in the movie, and when it comes down to editing it, I really just look at it in a different way. And I've never had a problem thinking about, I think some directors are like, oh, we spent 20 hours shooting that, and it was so hard, there were so many extras, and it was such a big thing, it has to go in the movie. But it's like, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't feel right in the movie, or if it's slowing things down, you just have to chop it. And it is that kind of, what I like about being in the editing room kind of by myself is that it allows me to tell this story in a different way. And I often, like Missionary, there's a lot of abstract cutting, I'd say, and that all happens from being in the room and kind of deciding, well, this is how I want to tell this sequence, which isn't always there when you're directing it. Yeah.
I believe you're in the middle of editing your next film, Payment, at the moment.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Payment is one I'm excited for, because we wanted to do like a proper horror film. Like, it's something that's going to scare people from the get-go. A very simple story, kind of reminiscent of Assault on Precinct 13 with a ghost story twist, very much inspired by the Manson family. Not so much Charles Manson, but the family at the ranch. Yeah. And it's basically about a female cop who's in a police station on the last night of it's transitioning to a new one, and she's waiting for a pickup of hazmat material, that was delayed, and unbeknownst to her, this place is haunted. And I think that was the ultimate twist is like, and which I was like, well, that's why they moved. It's because they're all working in a haunted police station, and she just had no idea. She's new to this place, and like, well, yeah, that's like it reminds me of the end of Lost Boys, which I always loved. When he turns around, he's like, Santa Carla, if it wasn't for all the goddamn vampires. It's just that, like, something like that is so kind of great.
So when are you expecting to have that one finished?
It should be done around January, and then start playing the festivals, and we'll see.
And we said at the start, obviously, you directed Dread, and before that you were executive producer on Midnight Meat Train and Book of Blood. Are you still hoping to bring other Clive Barker stories to the big screen in the future?
I hope so. I know we have several stories that were adapted that we're still trying to push. Me traveling and working with Scott has kept me away from that stuff a bit, but it's still.
Yeah.
I have faith that many of them will still see the light of the day soon. Yeah. So,
okay.
Clive's material being so particular is often tricky with mass markets and stuff. And I love it because it's so twisted.
But maybe with the Nightbreed Cabal cuts, there's been quite a bit of press with that.
Yeah.
Maybe that will give the impetus to bring some more of his work to the big screen.
Yeah, I think it's great that it's finally seeing the light of day, and that people get to see it so many years later.
Yeah.
In its true form.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Well, we wish you all the best with the release of Missionary.
Thank you very much.
And hope to see you back at FrightFest maybe next year with Payman.
I hope I am back.
Anthony DiBlasi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thank you.